I've seen a couple of videos suggesting what art supply to buy if you are broke, if you don't have any money, if you are too young to afford proper art supplies, and I didn't like them. Like, I don't think they said what everything that they could have said. So here's my take on the subject. First thing first, is saying that to draw you simply need a surface to draw on and something that can create a sign. I grew up with nothing but pencil and printer paper, and I was perfectly fine with it. Especially if you're really young, you shouldn't care about brands. You should just enjoy drawing with everything you have and experiment and just draw for the sake of it. Just use crayons, chalk, whatever. You have all the time in the world to collect and use art supplies. What you really need right now is just to draw. Just this. And that said, just let's talk about the cheaper alternatives that I can show you. For the paper, as I said, I grew up with printer paper, so my sketchbooks used to be paper folded literally in half so that they looked like a notebook slash sketchbook. And I drew my own cover and I basically filled every page with drawings. And growing up, I started to skip the cover and the folding and just drew on plain printer paper because it was, easily accessible, cheap, yada yada. And printer paper is perfectly fine if you sketch with pencil or ballpoint pen. And I'd say to always have some laying around. But if you want to use ink, if you don't want printer paper, you can use, I don't know how they are called. It's like printable cardstock. It's basically a heavier kind of printer paper. It's really smooth and it's heavier, and they sell it in packs of 150 or 2000 or 200 or 250 and something like that. And this is the cheaper cardstock. Let's call it cardstock, but it's not really cardstock. And I currently use this for my illustration, comics, and whatever. And it takes really well inks and therefore comics. And this is really thin. It's easily printable, so if you want to just print your line art, or if you are printing a blue pencil sketch and you want to ink different, you want just to ink on paper, you can do it. And this costed me like 18 euros for a pack of 200s, and it's pretty good. And you have the fancier type, which is the one that I personally love the most, that is the Fabriano multipaper. And it's heavier, it's 250 GSM. And it's a little more pricey. It's, I think, 22 euros for 150 sheets, but the paper is thicker, and but they are smooth as well. It's pretty good paper. And I know it's a lot of money to just spend on basically loose paper, but if you fold them and if you create your own sketchbooks, those last forever. Or you can use them plain. You can not fold and create sketchbooks. You can use them plain to draw comic pages, or if you just, you draw really big. But those are A3 format. That means that it's 2 A4, 6 A5. So it's pretty inexpensive to me. But if you don't want to use loose paper and you feel the need to have a sketchbook, you don't need to spend that many money. You don't need to go to the higher brands. Flying Tiger offers this kind of sketchbook, which is really convenient. It's a lot of pages, as you can see, lot of pages, and you only spend like €3 to for this kind, and maybe up to €10 for the really big A3 format. For like the big one is like €10 tops. The paper is not the best, but it can take light washes quite well, and it's good for sketches because this is what it is, a sketchbook in which you draw sketches. And they sell it in stitch bound and spiral bound, and they are pretty much the same paper, so it's just up to your preference. And if you don't have a flying tiger next to you, just look around for dollar stores or store branded art supplies. You can find the cheapish sketchbooks pretty much everywhere. Usually unbranded sketchbooks works just right. Like this one, this is a carnet of plain paper that is no much better than printed paper really, but I only use this kind of sketchbooks for gesture drawings, and because I mostly do them in pencil and sketch, and they take pencil and pens very well. It looks cute, it is a sketchbook, and I paid something like €3 for it, so it's pretty much inexpensive. And plus, if you live in the US or pretty much everywhere where you can buy stuff using coupons, you can even buy mixed media sketchbooks like this one for something like $5. And of course, I've never been there, but have heard so many times this thing, and I thought it would be just fair to give you this option. If you want fancier paper, you can again look at dollar, euro, whatever your currency is stores. Because looking around in my euro store, I found this. This is loose paper. It's Canson branded, and as you can see, it's 220 GM, and it's pretty big. It's 50 for 70. It's A2 basically, and they usually sell like loose sheets, and if you buy a single sheet, it's about 80 cents, which is less than €1 for good paper. And, yeah, it's A2, so it's pretty big, and depending on how much and how big you draw, they can last for a long time. If your store doesn't carry good paper, just go to an art supply store and ask for a loose sheet of paper. They should carry pretty much all of the brands, and they even sell loose canvas sheets if you need them. Just buy a single sheet, which of course, as I told you, is pretty big and should last you. And with a couple euros, you will have lots of paper to cut and practice and use to your likings. Also, if you don't see what you're looking for, just ask for it. Ask for the brand or the specifics that you need, for instance, the GM or the usage, like, I need watercolor paper, I need it to be smooth, I need it to be rougher, something like that. More often than not, loose paper is in the back of the shops, so just ask. And now that we have something to draw on, let's talk about the stuff to draw and paint with. First thing would be pencils. I use pretty much all kind of pencils. I just test out and feel how soft the lead is if I like it or not. I can buy single pencils or just grab a pack for usually around €3 maximum here. And again, dollar, euro, whatever store you have, they usually carry big packs of pencils for under €5. This pack of 12 for €3, you can do the math, it's really inexpensive. And it's a good brand, it's Lyra, and it's soft because it's a B1. So it's pretty good. Or you can buy house brand cheapish ones, like 50 cents for a pack of 2. Like this is from Ocean. And as I said, it was 50 cents for two pencils, and it's a 2B, so it's not. Those two kind of pencils were both bought in the big store who happened to have a stationery section. The store is called Ocean, if you're wondering, and they have basic stationery, like nothing too fancy, just basics, pencils, pens, erasers, and so on. But they have this back to school offers in which they offer this pack of pencils, which are not store brand, but they are really the same. Anyways, this is a Faber-Castell Bonanza, and they sell really big packs for nothing. Also, if you don't have money, I suggest you to stick with wooden pencils because they are cheaper than mechanical pencils and they are refills and they last longer. Plus, pencils are pretty much everywhere. Mechanical mechanical pencil refills are not so accessible, but that's my experience. If you like colorways, like the feeling of the colored lead underneath your sketches, or the fact that you can draw in color and then erase your mistakes and everything, I might have a cheaper option for you. Flying Tiger sells this set of colored pencils. They are mechanical pencils and their lead is erasable. It wasn't written anywhere, but I tried and it works. I sometimes use them as a substitute for colorways and I never had problems with them. They come with a little lead sharpener on the end of the barrel here, and they cost like €1 and something for an assorted pack of 7 colors. There was a black one, but I don't know where it is. It's no use in sketching in black anyway, for me. And if you don't have a Flying Tiger, again, test out different brand of cheapish pencils. Some are erasable, and usually the lighter or brighter the color, the best it is. If you don't feel the necessity to erase the pencil lines because you're working rough, or you just like the feeling of the colored graphite under the picture, use whatever pencil you have at home. When I work messy, I usually use this kind of pencil. We call this kind of pencil lapis, but I don't know if it's the correct term. It's basically a two-color pencil. Yeah, this side is red. This one is blue. You can just use different colors to draw different things. Say red for the character and blue for the perspective of backgrounds, or the other way around, or if you just want to draw anatomy with one color and then draw the clothing with another color and so on. It's really useful. As for erasers, plastic erasers tends to cost less than putty kneadable erasers, but I would suggest in investing in both of them because it's not something prohibitive anyway. A plastic eraser that I always found really inexpensive and really good is the Faber-Castell, that red one. They even sell an eraser that is pretty much the same. It's this with the dark green paper, and this I don't like this that much because they can look the same, but they are somehow different, and I think this is supposed to be more of a grade school pencil, but this works just fine. This is the best. So if you can, just buy the red one. Stay away from this Staedtler Mars plastic eraser because I totally hate it. It smudges the graphite like everywhere, and I can't clean it properly. It's horrible. Anyway, they should cost less than 50 cents each, and if you don't lose them, they can can last you a long time. Oftentimes, we'd like to clean up our artwork before inking or coloring it. And the most efficient way to do so is by using a light box. But depending on the manufacturer and the size of the light box, they can be pretty expensive. But you can easily build up your own. One of the most inexpensive ways to have a light box ever is to have a coffee table with a glass surface on it, and you can then place a simple desk light underneath the coffee table, underneath the glass, and just place your paper on top of the glass and and draw. But if you don't have that kind of coffee table, you can build up your own light box using like an old drawer or a sturdy box, and using one of those touch up lights, those kind of lights that basically you touch and they lighten. They are battery charged usually, and you then place something like the glass part of the frame onto your box and use this thing as a light box, and that again is pretty inexpensive. Otherwise, you can actually build your own light box, like a real electricity powered light box, and you can do it from scratch. And you can do it on your own because it's really simple actually. Or you can even look for tutorials around the web or on YouTube or whatever. I've only had two light boxes in my life, and both of them were handmade by me. Let me say that depending on the size you are going for, it can be pretty inexpensive. When I created my old small light box, I spent like 20 euros maximum for all the materials, and it was an A4 format with really light and thin wood, and it was way too small for me because I needed to draw comic pages, and A4 just was too small because I could only work on small illustration on it. So I switched to my current light box that costed me about 60 euros to build, but it's really massive. It's A2 format with wide forex and solid wood. That can't sound expensive, like 60 euro for a light box, handmade, but if you think that the A4 one costs about 100 euros, it's a way to save up money. And if you don't have the money to assemble your own light box, there's the old fashionable method of a sunny day and a window glass. It's not really comfortable, but it works. If you mainly work with pencils, and you will notice that especially in sketchbooks, they tend to smudge a lot. Like the graphites go everywhere. People teach you to use fixative to let the graphite adhere to the paper, but we all know that art fixative can be really expensive. So instead of buying that, you can grab a kind of inexpensive hairspray like this and just use this as a fixative because it really works, and the price is so small. And just to compare, Winsor & Newton fixative here ranges from 8 to 10 euros per can, while hairspray you can find it for 1 or 2 euros a can, and it doesn't have to be high quality brand. You can buy the shittiest hairspray you can find and it's good, because for pencil work they work exactly the same.